Stop for a moment. Just stop. Do you hear that? The noise, the endless buzz, the notifications, the scrolling, the chaos that's hijacked your mind. I'm Tony Robbins, and today I want to challenge you to take back control, to reclaim your time, your focus, your life. Because if you don't master your attention, someone else will. We live in a world that profits off your distraction, but freedom, fulfillment, and greatness live on the other side of focus. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. Always. Most people are running on autopilot, consumed by noise, scrolling endlessly, reacting to everything, but rarely reflecting. They've become addicted to distraction, unaware that every second they give away is shaping the quality of their life. You cannot change what you refuse to see. Awareness is like turning on the lights in a dark room. Suddenly you notice what's been stealing your power. The truth is, distraction isn't just a habit, it's a form of escape. People drown themselves in business because they fear stillness. But when you wake up and see how your time has been fragmented, how your focus has been hijacked, that's when the shift begins. You start recognizing the difference between movement and progress. The moment you take ownership and say, no more autopilot, you begin to reclaim control. You start asking powerful questions. Where is my energy going? What is actually moving me forward? What's draining me without return? This level of self-awareness gives birth to clarity, and clarity leads to power because now you're not living reactively, you're living intentionally. You begin to notice the triggers, the notifications, the constant checking, the comparison traps. And instead of being consumed by them, you pause, breathe, and choose differently. Every decision made in awareness is a step toward mastery. You stop being a victim of distraction and start becoming the designer of your destiny. Awareness is freedom because it gives you the ability to act consciously, not compulsively. Time is not just hours ticking on a clock. It's your life in motion. Every minute you waste, you never get back. Most people treat time like it's infinite, but it's the most finite resource we have. You can lose money and earn it again, but once time is gone, it's gone forever. That's why every decision you make is a trade. You're trading moments of your life for something. The question is, are you trading for what matters? Those who achieve greatness don't have more hours in a day. They simply value time differently. They understand that focus compounds results. What you do with intensity for 1 hour can outproduce someone else's scattered effort in 5. Time is energy, and how you spend it determines what kind of life you create. If you give it to distractions, you'll live in fragments. But if you invest it into growth, creation, and purpose, you'll build a legacy. Think of time as sacred currency. Every scroll, every notification, every unnecessary yes, it costs you. When you start treating time as your greatest asset, your standards rise. You stop tolerating people, habits, and environments that drain it. You create boundaries that protect your peace. You schedule with intention. You live with urgency, not panic, urgency born from purpose. When you realize that time equals life, every moment becomes meaningful. You start showing up differently. You start prioritizing differently, and you start living like your time actually matters because it does. You said explain keynote 3 and 4 into 500 keywords in the style of Tony Robbins and don't give me any intro and heading. ChatGPT said clarity is the foundation of power. You can't focus on what you can't define. Most people drift, not because they lack effort, but because they lack direction. They're running fast but don't know where they're going. When you don't have clarity, everything feels urgent. You get pulled into every noise, every demand, every shiny object. But once you define what truly matters, your mission, your purpose, your priorities, the noise starts to fade. Clarity acts like a filter. It helps you say no to what's meaningless so you can say yes to what's essential. You stop confusing activity with achievement. You stop chasing validation and start pursuing fulfillment. To gain clarity, you have to ask yourself uncomfortable questions. What do I really want? What am I no longer willing to tolerate? Who do I need to become to create that life? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your clarity. Once you know your why, your how becomes obvious. You stop living in reaction and start operating from intention. You begin to align your energy, time, and decisions with your purpose. Every task, every relationship, every opportunity gets measured against your vision. If it doesn't move you closer, it's a distraction. Clarity isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. because the world will always throw noise at you. But when you're clear on your purpose, you can stand in the storm without being swept away. Clarity simplifies your life. It helps you see what truly matters and gives you the confidence to ignore what doesn't. Boundaries aren't walls, they're frameworks for freedom. Without them, you give everyone access to your energy, and eventually you burn out. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're sacred. They protect your focus, your peace, and your potential. The truth is, you teach people how to treat you by what you allow. Every yes that isn't aligned with your priorities is a no to something that is. Most people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection. They don't want to disappoint others, so they abandon themselves. But every time you say yes to what drains you, you're saying no to your own growth. Boundaries are a declaration that your time and energy are valuable. They give structure to your focus. You don't need to be available 24/7. You need to be intentional. That means shutting off notifications, scheduling deep work, saying no without guilt, and creating environments that support your best self. Boundaries are also internal. It's not just about protecting your time from others, but protecting your mind from yourself. Guarding against overthinking, perfectionism, and procrastination, boundaries help you preserve energy for what truly matters. They are the foundation of balance. Because without boundaries, you end up living everyone else's priorities instead of your own. When you build strong boundaries, you don't lose people, you attract those who respect your values. You become focused, grounded, and unstoppable. You said, explain keynote 5 and 6 into 500 keywords in the style of Tony Robbins, and don't give me any intro and heading. ChatGPT said distraction is not just stealing your time, it's stealing your potential. Every time you switch your focus, you pay a price. You lose momentum, creativity, and clarity. Most people live in a constant state of reaction, jumping from one notification to the next, one thought to another, never realizing that focus is a superpower in today's world. You cannot create greatness in a fragmented mind. Mastery demands immersion. You have to train your brain to stay in the moment long enough to do something meaningful. Focus is built through discipline, not motivation. You don't wait to feel ready. You decide to be intentional. That means removing friction, designing your environment for success, and committing to deep work even when it feels uncomfortable. The mind will resist stillness because it's addicted to stimulation. But once you push past that noise, you enter flow, a state where time disappears and creation feels effortless. That's where greatness lives. Every distraction you eliminate gives you back a piece of your life. Turn off what doesn't serve your mission. Build rituals that center your energy before your day begins. Protect the first hour of your morning. It sets the tone for everything else. When you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your power. You stop scattering your energy on trivial pursuits and start channeling it into what matters most. Focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing what counts. The moment you control your attention, you control your destiny. Business has become a badge of honor, but activity doesn't equal achievement. Many people confuse being in motion with making progress. They fill their days with endless tasks, but end their weeks wondering why nothing meaningful has changed. Productivity without purpose is just motion. It feels good, but gets you nowhere. True productivity is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things. It's about aligning your actions with your vision. You can't be effective if you're always reacting. You have to step back, assess, and choose where to place your energy. The goal is not to manage time. It's to master attention. Schedule your priorities, not just your obligations. Ask yourself daily, is this moving me closer to my purpose or further away? Real productivity happens when your actions are intentional. It's not about working longer. It's about working with clarity. Sometimes that means doing less, but doing it with excellence. Rest is part of the process, not a reward. Renewal fuels performance. When you create space to recharge, you come back with more energy, focus, and creativity. Productivity is a reflection of alignment. When your purpose is clear, your actions follow naturally. Every choice is either building your dream or distracting you from it. True fulfillment doesn't come from being busy. It comes from being effective. Focus on impact, not effort. Produce results, not excuses. Because in the end, success isn't measured by how much you did, but by what you created that truly mattered. You said, Explain keynote 7 and 8 into 500 keywords in the style of Tony Robbins, and don't give me any intro and heading. ChatGPT said, you cannot master your time until you master your boundaries. Most people give their energy away too freely, to opinions, to obligations, to distractions that add no real value. They say yes when they mean no, and every yes becomes a withdrawal from their own vision. Boundaries aren't walls. They're filters that protect your focus, your peace, and your purpose. When you set clear boundaries, you take back control of your life. You stop living reactively and start